yeah, organ harvesting, human organs is super, like, it's a big deal. It's happening. China, hello. But yeah, so when you think that all these people are here and that everybody's a do-gooder, stop and think about it, man. I mean, haven't we all learned from the time we could pretty much walk and talk that, don't talk to strangers, don't trust people. Serial killers, they look the same as your, super duper nice neighbor. Matter of fact, don't they normally always have somebody that was a neighbor of a serial killer saying they were such a nice guy, right? I mean, these people are on something severely demented. It's just dark. It is darker than I think even we can imagine. The doctor's offices, the doctor, you go in, you get the paperwork from him at the end of the visit, and it's always got all those little boxes they can check with those little ICD-9 codes they can mark, so they know what was what. And, they updated those, now they're ICD-10 codes, right? Obamacare, they talk about beheadings. I mean, they've got a spot in those codes for beheadings. You do realize that that's because, one, keep in mind, it's always going to be, the bottom line is always going to be about money with these kind of people, okay? But, you lethally inject, say somebody's going to, die a lethal injection. Okay, well, gee, that was great. Okay, that dude's dead. Now, what are we going to do? Well, now you got to do something about the body, which is just going to cost you money to get, that handled. But if you chop their head off, right, not only is that going to put the fear of God in most anybody that's got their wits about them, right, or maybe even who doesn't have their wits, it's going to scare you if you're watching something like that. And probably going to stop your heart, But not only is it going to do that, it's going to also keep the poisons from, like, a lethal injection, from being in that body, therefore making the organs, to where, they're still okay, and they can probably stick them on ice and harvest them and, make quite a pretty penny on them. People are buying them. You can get organs in China in a matter of days. But they're taking them from people behind closed doors while they're alive and surgically removing them. I shit you not. I am not kidding, people. Imagine that. And nobody wants to really, do anything, that needs to be done, because the powers that be, whoever they are, that are behind the scenes, are obviously some seriously scary people. And obviously very powerful. Considering the most powerful people, or the people who should be the most powerful in our societies, can't even find it in themselves to grow a pair and do what's right. So, then it just boils down to, you got to look in yourselves. We got to all do it, and you need to start getting your mind right. Maybe the lights won't go out, but I'm telling you, if they do, it's pretty well known by now, or it is at least in the Patriot community, that you got 3 days from the time those lights go out, or that the banks fail, right, and the lights go out, to get out of Dodge. You better have some backup plans, because things are going to get real bad real fast. And if you don't want to end up in a FEMA camp, which, by the way, FEMA camps across this country, they've pretty much, most of them, if not all of them, have got not just a guillotine in them to chop people's heads off, but smart guillotines, right? They put the extra work in. They got facial recognition. Now that's fancy. Yeah, that's fancy. And they did that so if their asses ended up on there, that these smart guillotines wouldn't chop off the wrong heads, right? I think it would be awful feeling. I think it would just be the worst, one of the worst feelings somebody could ever have, to know that you were in a line fitting to head down that way to a guillotine. I really do. But I figured out a long time ago that I'm definitely probably on the list of people who'd be in there. I don't think my face will make it past one. Not without ending up in a bucket or whatever they're going to catch my head in when it rolls. Anyways, guys, this is just the way my mind thinks when I hear this stuff. I'm just bringing it to you. I could always go deeper because, once I get on a roll, I get on a roll. Hell, it bothers me even more now after some other stuff I come across, and it said, just because your head's cut off, it's not like you're going to stop thinking. Oh yeah, you're still going to be conscious, and you're going to know you're ahead. How about that for a terrible feeling? Ask yourselves this. Would you still have a bad feeling in the pit of your stomach, you think, if you're only ahead or not? Right? See, I can be pretty twisted. But this is all serious stuff, guys, and anything that you think is just ridiculous and insane and, conspiracy theory, whatever, guess what? That's going to be the stuff you better pay attention to, because truth really is stranger than fiction, and that's the stuff that's been ending up, to be proven to be the true things that are happening for I don't even know how many years now. 7? I don't know, I'm guessing. So, anyways, there's just a lot of stuff going on. Get yourself stocked up with some water. Try to make sure that, since I didn't do it, you can figure out which brands are the two that are loaded up with arsenic. I'm sure the other ones might not have arsenic, but I bet they got something else in those. Just get a live straw. Just make sure you got a way to have a few things someplace. Because, I think there's already grocery stores and stuff. They're already going downhill and out. Walmarts aren't going to be Walmarts much longer. They're owned by the Department of Homeland Security. And they're there so that way when the military needs to use them, they can do that. That is why they shut them down. And they turn them in to temporary, call them whatever you want to call them, camps, holding facilities, gas chambers, call them whatever. Go ahead and deny it if you want and tell me that, tell anybody that this is just ridiculous, it's all bullshit, but guess what? Everything I say is it's all been vetted. So you're going to look, again, real stupid if you don't take the time out to just do a little homework. The people that have been shouting this shit from the rooftops for the last, I don't know how long, for the whole time, a lot of us are just sick to death of it by now. And I'll be really honest, it's going to be one of those things where, do you really think the people that set back, let me not speak for everybody, I'll speak for myself. I'll put it this way, I'm not the type of person, nor will I take the time out to try to convince anybody of what's what when the time comes to hit the bricks and get the hell out of Dodge. I won't do it. You know why? Because I'm going to figure out, or figure by then, kind of like, what I've been figuring this whole time, the same thing, is that those are the people that pretty much, not only did they not bother to look into everything, they went out of their way to, completely, just for whatever reasons, pride, whatever, just to be assholes, whatever, to make sure that they didn't look, they, shouted from the rooftops that it was not true, and they ushered in all these problems, because, it used to be this was a country that, worked together. Honestly, I feel like I feel like there's probably more aliens here than there even are Americans anymore. When all this started, they said that, Americans were flooding immigration offices in other countries. Hell, it was probably all of them that had the money to get out of here. They're going to take away everything, but you realize that no matter what now happens, that in 20 years, for sure, this is like fact, in 20 years from now, there will be enough, people that are Islamic, okay, they'll be the ones that can decide who's running this country regardless of what happens. Sharia law will be there. It will be in effect. If you're a feminist, you need to not support that stuff. You need to do some homework, people. If you're gay and you don't want to be tossed off a rooftop, you might want to stop and straighten up, because every single one of these people who want to, make sure everybody's feelings are okay and kiss the owies on these, assholes when they're here being jerks to every single one of us and destroying our country from within, in order, and expecting us to compensate them, and not only compensate them, but completely change our existence and our way of life in order to, make sure they're comfortable, when at the same time they will admit and they know that we wouldn't even be allowed off the embassy, grounds in their country without being ripped to shreds and probably have our head stuck on a post. I mean, really, people, think about that. They believe their own kids are just props sent here for them to use in order to accomplish, the jihad. So they can get their 72 virgins, not even kidding, man. If I had to have, if I had to go through the having a kid again and the kindergarten and grade school and all, if I had to do that, I am not kidding, I would find a way, and I'm telling you, I might just do this anyway. But I would make sure that my kid had a necklace made of freaking bacon. I'm not playing. Pork. Somehow, my kid would have something pork-related on him. I'm dead serious. Honestly, I feel like if we don't want to spend the money on the border wall, we probably, in all honesty, could have put a bunch of bad old bacon in. I don't even think it would matter. Just a bunch of just raw pork. In by the truckloads, just lay them on out there. Because, they're not going to want to cross it. And I don't even mean that as a joke. I'm being dead serious. We slipped up a long time ago. And when we've got schools here with little Islamic children that are singing about decapitating American citizens at a little school program, and they think that's okay? There's a lot of things going wrong right now. El Chapo points the finger, names off every single one of the Democratic people, and names off Hillary and Pelosi and Schumer, all these people, and he points the finger and says they are taking massive amounts of money from the cartel. Being traitorous to this country. Why is it that they're still here telling people this is what they want to do? You realize that if the president and the vice president, something happens to both of them, the next in line to run things would be Nancy Pelosi? Wow, people! And there is no way that woman is not on dope. Never seen anything like it in my life. Good Lord. Blames it on the dentures. And now I'm just going to cut. I'm going to call it a wash. I'm done. I will stop. These are just thoughts that I think everybody needs to think about and remember.